Alright, so we're picking up where we left off. I'm about to show you how to start building this loop that's going to find the hidden files. And we're going to push them into this unwanted array because later we're going to take everything that ends up in the unwanted array out of our image list so that we get rid of those hidden files. Okay, so first thing is that we need to start a for each loop. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put my basic syntax for that in, and what we're going to loop through is this image list. That's the array that we got from scanning the directory, right? So, and we're going to loop through image list as, and then we have to give it a temporary, we have to give each item a temporary variable name, so we'll call that file name. Okay, so we're going to loop through image list as file name each time we hit the iteration. And so while we're doing that, we need to do a conditional check. So first of all, we need to say if. Okay, and then let's go ahead and end our clause there. So we're doing a conditional check, and we're going to say if the string position, right, there's a potentially for you a new function, string position, so we're going to be looking for the string position of file name. That would be the first parameter to pass, is what are we looking in, and then we're looking to see what the thing is that we're searching for. Okay, so if the string position of the dot is, oops, I'm going to put 3 equal signs because that means is identical to, and then I'm going to say it's an integer, and it's going to be the integer of 0. Okay, so let me go back and explain what's happening. We're saying if the string position of this dot inside of this particular variable, or this iteration of the loop, happens to be the 0 position, okay, so it happens to be the very first place, like this or this, okay, then we're going to do something to it. Okay, let's reiterate that. If the string position, or I should say if the 0 string position is equal to 0, where the dot is found inside a file name, okay, that's another way to explain it, then we're going to do something on that particular key value pair. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to push the hidden file into the unwanted array. Okay, and the way that you do that is with a function called array push. And the syntax for array push is you're going to take, well, in fact, if you want to look at it as a reminder, okay, what's going to happen is you're going to end up pushing, you need to put the array that you're pushing it into first, so that would be unwanted, and then with a comma, the second parameter is going to be the thing you're pushing into it. So it would be our temporary loop variable called file name. Okay, this might look a little confusing at first. In fact, let me spread this out just a little bit so it's not as confusing to look at with the comments doubling up. So let's look at this one more time. Okay, so every time we loop through image list, we're going to give the key value pair, well, not the key value pair, we're going to give the value a temporary variable name called file name. Okay, so every time we loop through, this is going to be called file name, each one of these, right? And what we're doing is we're looking at the string position of the period inside of that file name. And we're saying if the string position dot in file name happens to be the 0 position, then push that file name into the unwanted array, which we initiated up here as an empty array. So, okay, let's go ahead and do a test now. And what I'll do is I'm going to put testing, and we can also say remove later. Okay, and then what I want to do is I want to do a print R on the unwanted array. Except I have to call unwanted the variable $symbol. Okay, so I'm going to save that and let's take a look here and see what it does. And you can see what's happening is it's taking these first three items in the scandir array, which is stored as image list, and it's pushing those items into the unwanted array. Now, that doesn't mean that they're no longer in here. It just means that we took them and we basically copied them into a new array called unwanted. So if you were to then go ahead and just to check yourself to make sure that that's true, we could also do a print R on image list one more time after we look at unwanted, and you can see that those are in fact still there. Okay, so we need to get rid of those. So the next thing that we want to do then, here, let's go ahead and get rid of that. The next thing that we want to do, I'm going to just do it right here, is we want to strip the unwanted array items. Okay, so strip unwanted array items from image list. Yeah, that's the one I want. Okay, and I should say that this unwanted is like that, it's a variable. And to do that, I'm going to reassign image list to itself minus those array items from unwanted, and the way that you do that is you use a function called arrayDiff. Okay. Oops. And the first parameter that I'm going to pass into arrayDiff is image list array, and then it's the stuff we want to strip from it is passed into the second parameter, so that would be the unwanted array items. Okay, and so I'm going to save that. And the thing is, down here where we're testing, we're printing to screen the unwanted array. Well, let's just now let's go ahead and print out image list. And so up here, you see we're doing a print out or print R on image list, and that's before we've stripped stuff. And down here, we're going to do a print R on image list after we've stripped stuff. Okay, so let's save it. Let's do a refresh. And now you can see that these first three items, these hidden files, are now gone from that list. Okay, so that's something that's going to be really important. Otherwise, you would get a bunch of like missing or broken link images in your thumbnail list for these three items, because those don't really have pictures. Okay, so that's the first way that we want to approach getting rid of any kind of hidden files and references to your file system. All right, now the next thing that we want to do, and this is in sort of like preparation for what we're going to do a little bit later, and you know, I could show you this at a later time, but we actually would need to do the thing I'm going to show you kind of like right now. So at least in terms of the linearization of the script. So I'm just going to explain to you what's going to happen is that we're going to be using all of these file names as captions. Okay, so that's another important facet of this particular function that I'm showing you how to write, is that the nice thing about this function is that it will scan your files that are in a directory for, you know, so that you don't have to be using a database. But the thing is that it's going to use the name of the file as the name that's going to be represented as a caption or as a heading, as alt text, all of those things that are useful. And so it's going to be important that you actually name the pictures in a way that you would be okay with somebody seeing the name either in alt text or on the screen as a caption. So so eventually we're going to have to strip the file extension off so that we can, you know, not have a file extension showing as a caption or in the alt text. So anyway, what we're going to do is come up with a list of acceptable file extensions. So let's say create list of acceptable file extensions. And let's just call it file and ext. I'm going to use camel case. So file extension, and I'm going to create an array. And we're going to create JPEG, JPEG, GIF, etc. I'm just going to paste it so you don't have to watch me type it. And I have two different types of JPEG extensions because they are actually different types and they are not the same. So I've got that, and now the next thing is I'm ready to actually start building a list. So we're going to do that in the next demonstration though, so let's go ahead and end this one here. It's a good stopping spot.